Today we are looking at landscaping, and we are looking at landscaping from a designer's perspective. So this is how it works. Landscaping contributes about 65% of the whole building context, right? So from a designer's perspective, not only do we design the building blocks, but also we have to place that block into context. And the context is the landscape. So from a designer's perspective, there are a few things that we take into consideration when we are doing landscaping, because these things would make the landscape to be both aesthetically pleasing and also to be functional. And get this, when we design, we're designing for people, right? All that we design so that we create a beautiful environment for people to live in. So when you look at the landscape, the first thing that we're looking at is functionality. And functionality in this case is the circulation spaces. That is how people will then move around and navigate to a certain building. This leads us to our first important point, which is the driveway and walkways, right? So if you take, for instance, an ordinary house, the house is placed on a stand, right? That is the property where the house is built. So when we're doing our landscaping, we are obviously looking at how people are driving in and out of the property, and then how people are also moving in and out of the house. So the driveways and the paved areas are very, very important. So whatever we do when we're doing the landscape, we have to make sure that we have enough parking and enough driveways so that the building is accessible. And when we do that, we, at times, or in most cases, we have to make sure that we place those things in a strategic way so that we avoid, in as much as we can, to demolish the natural environment, or rather to demolish trees and shrubs. So we have to place it strategically, or place it in a clever way so that the house is still in a good context with its surroundings, right? So our driveways and walkways are considered to be hard surfaces. But the landscape now consists of hard surfaces and soft surfaces. And by soft surfaces, I'm simply referring to those places where you have got shrubs and lawns. So again, when you are designing or looking at it from a designer's perspective, we have to strike a balance of the soft surfaces and hard surfaces. You would want to avoid a scenario whereby you have got a lot of green and very minimum hard surfaces, which is your driveways and your parking. And also, you also want to avoid the opposite of that, whereby the whole landscape or the whole property becomes paved, so that it's all hard surface and then very little green. So we have to strike a balance, right? So after we've done the driveways, we then look at the lawns and the greens. And we also have to strategically place them so that whatever we do, the house also is in a good context, or it blends well with the environment. Another important aspect is the trees that would be around the house. So you see that the lesser the trees on a site, the less interesting it is. It becomes like a bare or barren landscape, and then you've got your building in the middle. So in all that you do, you have to avoid as much as you can to cut down trees, right? Probably the best thing to do is whatever you put on a certain piece of land, you have to do minimum damage to the natural environment. Because there are a lot of things that are disturbed as we go on to construction. You'd want to avoid disturbing the natural ecosystem or the natural habitats of the plants and animals that are on that property. And if you consider that, you will see that those are the things also which make the house feel good, or feel fresh, or feel homely, you see. So you have to avoid chopping down a lot of trees. Only clear the place where you want to put your house, and then let the general or the rest of the ground be as natural as it can be. So in all that we are talking about, we can't leave out the issue to do with water. Water is very, very important, and you can't talk of any landscaping without a good water source. So you would realize that you have got your building, and then you have got some form of waste management. And in most cases, if it's residential, that means that you have got a septic tank somewhere. if you are in areas where you don't have municipal sewers, right? So the best thing to do is probably to site your bore as far as possible from where the waste management system should be. It could be a septic tank or it could be a biodigester. So it should be very far apart. And in most cases, you'd want to place your bore on the other side of your property and then get the waste management system, that is your septic tank or your biodigester, on the other extreme of the property. And by so doing, you're ensuring that the water source is always free of the contaminations or the ground contaminations that are sometimes caused by waste management systems.